on this road developed a talk that I'm feeling good about. But it would be irresponsible of me to not see, there I go, to mention Buffalo and to mention Texas. And some of you might feel like, what the hell is going on? The world is absolutely insane. And the truth is, you are to a degree correct. There is a portion of the world that is so ill-equipped. They're just ill-equipped and unskilled, and they don't know how to handle what the stimulus that drives someone to do the insane acts that we are witnessing. And unfortunately, to have these two insane things back to back can feel overwhelming. And I want to acknowledge them. You all know that I care. If you know me, you know I care. And the thing is, stay connected to each other. That's the real answer. Stay connected. Reach out to each other, either in this community or in your own family, but definitely stay connected, because human contact and community is important. And I have mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago when I think this is my third week in a row. I haven't spoken 3 times in a row in a long time. It's a luxury. Right? Was it 3 weeks in a row? Whatever. It doesn't matter. But in Lisa Rankin's book, Mind Over Medicine, they have statistics of studies that they've done to prove the healing power of community. That people who are connected to a community, now mind you, it could be a bowling club, literally, it could be that. It's not like it has to be this. It could be a gardening club, a bowling club, it could be anything. But being in community, except I guess the one thing is, I would encourage you always to choose a community that when somebody looks at you, they think you're wonderful. You want to be next to people who think that you're beautiful, that you're wonderful, that life is possible, and that when you tell them an idea, they go, yeah, I don't know about that. I will like you rather than discourage you. It's just, So community is critical to our health.
Amen.
To our health, and they have statistics to prove it. They've done studies. So much so, and I'm going to repeat this from a number of weeks back, to Caucasians in community, it adds like 7 years to your life. To African Americans, it adds up to 14 years to one's life. Can you imagine that? Wow. And that's by being connected. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you value being here enough to show up, and God knows this day was ordered. So stay connected, if you will. Let others love you and see you. That really is the answer. So my title of today's talk is You Are the Prayer. And all month has been dedicated to prayer, spiritual mind treatment. Give it whatever word you want. And I'm so happy to see faces here today that I've never met. So it's lovely. And I'm here today to see faces that I haven't seen in a long time. My heart is full with both of that. And so as always, I want to say to you, throw out or replace any word that I say with whatever works for you. If I say prayer and you want to say affirmative prayer, you want to say affirmation, go ahead. If you don't like God, you want to change it to life or energy or intelligence, go ahead. So that's my disclaimer for the balance of today. But here's what I want us to get. I am going to take this off. When you walk amongst the world and you are in the consciousness of love, of acceptance, the whole open and affirming concept that we took on about 18 years ago was the first time I ever heard that term. It was the first marketing term to let people know we were gay friendly. Not that we needed that term, but it communicated that to the world, right? So when we took that on and we started, saying that alone, when we walk in and we are of that consciousness, of acceptance, of compassion, you are someone you are a walking, talking prayer. Many years ago, Brian Jude, one of our practitioners, gave me a t-shirt because I was always saying, I'm a walking, talking prayer zone. And he gave me a t-shirt that said that. So what that means is that wherever you are, and I know you're sitting, but just for an example for the moment, stretch out your arms. And if you can, just kind of do this. See right there, that's just the beginning of the space that you take in, that is the presence of love, the way you carry it. So just as you're clustered together, and I know we got this whole COVID thing going on, I get it. So let's imagine that that's not the case at the moment. So just bear with me as I say these things. But that alone is the beginning of the space that we contain, that's love. And one of the simplest ways, we had a small gathering at my house yesterday. I won't tell you what for, but there was a few of us at the house, and one of our precious friends was saying that they were worried about somebody. And the poor person, we jumped on that person. We jumped like, no, you can't worry, right? Because worry is what?
Misuse of imagination.
Right, misuse of imagination. What else?
Prayer for what you don't want.
Yes, it's a prayer for what you don't want. It's a down payment for what you don't want. So if you're here for the first time, you've never heard me say that before, stop worrying. Do whatever you have to do to discipline your mind. Find a way to replace that awful habit with affirmative thinking, affirmative statements, something. Why? Because we create by means of our consciousness.
Yes.
And if nobody else, don't worry about me. I do not want your worry ever, because I do not want that energy projected at me.
Yes.
And I promise to not do it to you. I promise to stand in principle, in practice, in my words that I speak, in my thinking, and in the activity of my life. So when I ponder you, even when, we are constantly praying for each other, the practitioners are constantly praying for somebody. I promise you, we are in the practice of looking past the ailments and looking past the activity. Holmes said, I live in the faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. Doesn't it sound wonderful? In ways I could not even imagine. That the life that we're living, and I think sometimes we get complacent. Anybody ever experienced like complacency?
Oh, yeah.
Complacency is serious. You want to know what that word is, Lila? Complacency is when you get used to what is, you don't expect anything else. Okay. She asked, I told her.
She got it.
So complacency is where we let ourselves go to sleep. It's like if any of you received the piece I wrote and sent out the other day, you don't want to go numb. I would rather see you angry and upset than numb. Because numb, we are shut off from the very fodder of feelings and activity by means of us that we need in order to increase the beauty in our lives. So here's some instruction when you are being the prayer. Listen to somebody. We need to be heard, but don't agree. Do not agree with someone's story. Now, that's not to get in their face and be annoying, but that is where what I'm saying is, you've heard me say it a long time. Instead of colluding with limitation, we want to collaborate with possibility. Instead of colluding with limitation, we want to collaborate with possibility. So if you have a friend and they're not of this teaching and they've never heard about anything that we do here, and they start to go down that road, listen, why? Because they need to be heard. And that energy, if it's unexpressed, it gets stifled and stuck in our body temple, okay? But when you listen to them, you might want to say something like, really? Are you sure? Is that what you want to have happen? Is that what you really believe? What do you want to believe? Question them and pull out of them a different mindset. And here's what I just mentioned before. Care, but don't worry. When you're actively being the prayer, care about somebody, but don't worry about them, not ever. Tell the truth. Tell your truth. Stop being polite if it means you denying what is your truth. Stop. Sometimes we have our social politeness. So we're out in the crowd and someone starts bitching and moaning and this activity about the politics and all this stuff. And you really don't want to be in that conversation. So you politely just.
Hey, I still have to shower.
Your polite listening, though, is a sense of compliance. You understand? That's compliance. That's part of polluting. So I'd rather see you walk away. I'd rather see you say, oh, here we go. Because if I agree with your complaint, I've given power to it. When you are engaging others in the world, your agreement creates power. You understand that? Does that make sense? Okay. Be in integrity. Integrity is, we don't think I talk about integrity enough. Integrity, being your word, keeping your commitments, strengthens your being. It really does. Anybody can be late. Anybody can have excuses. But committing to something and being on time, I know that doesn't really sound like you're being the prayer, but that's saying, if I have a commitment with you, I'm honoring you. I'm honoring you, I'm showing up. And there is a kind of a prayerful, energetic activity that's happening when I keep my commitment to you. Interrupt worry. Now, we've kind of spoken about that already, but be willing for, find a technique for yourself and find it for another to interrupt it. Neil and I recently, for those of you who don't know, Neil is my husband, and we recently recommitted to a daily prayer time, daily. And so what?
Every day.
Every day. There is something magical that's happening in the conversation in our house, that we are together every single day, facing each other and having the conversation daily. If you are a couple, I am going to be encouraging you all over the place. I don't care what recipe of couple, that doesn't matter. But if you are with another, I am going to be encouraging you. You're going to see some stuff about it, to be in prayer and practice with another. It changes the texture in your household. Interrupt concern. It might still seem like it's the same word, but concerns, like you can almost go under the wire. It's not quite worry, right? It's not quite that. And yet it is a way of saying, oh, I'm believing in something not good is going to happen. So interrupt that for yourself and with another whenever possible. Bless you. Why? Because we demonstrate from consciousness. We demonstrate from our belief system. And that's what we carry into every room. That's what we carry into a potluck. That's what we carry into our jobs. Some of you are surrounded in, some of you might have corporate jobs, and you might say, hey, right? But I promise you, if you walk in and of the consciousness of love and compassion and acceptance and possibility, they will see that you're different. They will recognize there's something a little different about you. Eventually they might ask, but that doesn't even matter. What matters is, and back in the day when I was working in the trucking industry, and I had an office, and it was the first time I got to understand what people meant about catty women. I had never worked in a group like that before, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by all this. It was not nice. And so on my office door, I put up a sign that said, not first, God is at work.
All right.
Now, what did that do? But it made them think. They didn't enter the door the same way they would enter everyone else's door. It just caused them to think a little bit differently. So one of the ways you are also the prayer, and I know that I'm repeating myself, folks, but I have evidence that you don't always get it the first 10 times. Your imagination is a form of prayer. Now, you know this, we've spoken about this. Neville says this. Imagination is the same as prayer. Why? Because what is necessary in a solid prayer is a direction of your focus and a feeling tone. I bet, where's Beth? Where is she? I loved all the movements today. You know, it's been, oh my God, being on screen and missing all that. And if you've never been to our service the way it was, we used to have a lot of movement, you know, which was so great. But the movement itself is you moving in the consciousness and the fluidity of all that is that creates. Since it's not separate from us, and it is who we are. When I move consciously through the world, when I engage you consciously, we are in prayer together. Now, since everything that happens, and my thinking is creativity, and your thinking is creative, and I use my imagination, then what I want to do is I want to make sure that as spirit is availing itself to, through, and as me, right? We all know it comes through us. That is the reason why I'm probably a little obnoxious about the personal journey. Because if it's coming through, I'll speak for myself. If it's coming through me, I want the me that I am to be clean, to be clear, to be accepting. I want the me that spirit is coming through to be one that carries optimism in all my surroundings, and to let go of the conditioning that I'm aware of, and then to constantly seek to understand more of that conditioning. I want to understand it. It's where our bias lives, the unconscious parts of us that connects to the world at large. But I can only take care of where it enters me. So the clearer I get, the more I heal, the more I am empty. That's the word. The more I am empty, the more spirit passes through me in a clear way. So by the time it gets to you, it's still very much its pure essence. If I walk around angry, judgmental, prejudice, then spirit, as it's passing through me, because it's still going to do it, but it's going to come out all crooked. It's going to come out not very nice. Holmes says, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what they think into it. I changed the pronoun. Life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what they think into it. That's absolute. That is absolute. So what it takes us becoming disciplined. It takes us being of that mindset. So right now, what I'd like to ask you to do, since we have the luxury of being in person, if you can stand easily, I'm going to ask you to stand, and still in silence, bring to mind the most loving expression of yourself that you can, and look around the yard. Look around at each other. You don't have to say anything. Don't put your personality on. Open your eyes and just gently turn around. Come on, come on. Turn around, see each other. And that consciousness, when you can go look at people, baby. That consciousness of love, of compassion, is immediately expressed and accepted. Immediately. You don't have to do more than this. Remember the statement we used for years? I am the place where love resides. Say that out loud.
I am the place where love resides.
Yes, I am the place where love resides. I walk in it. I stand in it. I speak from it. I engage you in it. I am the place where love resides.
I am the place where love resides.
And let us be that community. So you are the prayer by means of who you are. You can take a seat. You are the prayer by means of who you are. Yes?
Yes.
Would you like to put some music behind my treatment today? Have you been back there the whole time? Oh. There you go. I know where you are. If you don't know, that's my granddaughter. Oh, by the way, hold on. Hold on. I'm going to do a selfie with John in it. Hold on. All right. Everybody say hello. Hello. There we go. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
I got you. Ty is going to follow up this song, this prayer right now with the song "Love Is the Answer." Truth is, that's not the song. The real word, the real name of that, right? That's the one. Yeah. The real name of that song is "God Is the Answer." But I kind of favor God as love. Anybody with me? I like God as love. So many years ago, after they got completely done singing the song, you remember that? I turned around and I said, could you sing the whole thing again and replace the word love? And I don't think we ever turned back. So love is the answer. Sorry.
Take your time.
You got it till the plane passes.
I got to the point. There is a little airport right near here. That's my. Did you say that? Oh, God is so good. Love is so good. Life is so good. Beauty is so good. Energy and spirit is so good. It's so good by means of each and every one of us right here and right now. I know that whether we walk around realizing it or not, we need each other. Oh, Lord, have mercy. We need the love, the sharing, the reaching out. Let us be the place where love resides. And let us know that anything within any one of us, whether it's at the surface or deep within, that whatever's in the way is cast out. It is cast out. No thing is in the way. No idea, no belief. Let us be fearless in our love. Even loving those who we sometimes criticize, because no one needs love more than those angry individuals. Let us be the place where love resides. Let us be the community where love resides. Let us be the practice where love resides. And as we look at each other for the balance of today, let love be our communication. If you accept, whisper a sweet yes.
Yes.
That yes is your agreement. That yes is your subscription. It is good and so very good. I am so bountifully grateful. I surrender this word to love, to law, and to the awe of life itself. And so it is.